Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Gotaproblemmate podcast. That's Gapham.
I'm doing one of my best smiles.
Why?
Just at the camera. Or if you're listening, I'm sure you can hear it in my voice.
You better not be DMing the listeners, right?
DMing the listeners.
You're trying to signal something to them.
I'm waiting for them to DM me. Welcome to all our new listeners. If you're listening for the first time, which I don't think you are, because we said that last week. We said if you are new, leave a comment, and no one did. So I can only assume everyone knows what's going on. First of all, it's episode number 90.
I can't believe it.
Can you believe that?
I can't.
Well, you better, because it is. We're 10 away from 100. Let us know who you'd like as our 100th guest. I can get anybody.
No, you can't.
I can get anybody.
Well, why haven't you been getting anybody?
I'm gonna get a guest nearly as big as today's guest.
No, you're not. We've got to get Jimmy Carr for 100. It's got to be Carr.
We've got a proper guest. Yeah? Somebody. It's not just another comedian that we've dug up.
Have we had an artist before?
We had Annie McGrath.
Yeah.
She's an artist.
Did we?
A comedian. Did we, or did she not come on?
We've not had her on.
Oh, no, she can't. Who did we do art with? I did some art. Do you remember?
Did you?
And we made someone draw, or maybe because their name was connected to art.
Alice. Her name was Alice.
Okay, let's forget this bit. It's the first time we've ever had an artist. Can you stop?
Sorry about that.
You stop blowing your nose on the camera.
That was really funny.
Today's guest, David Speed. I'm very excited that he's here.
Very lovely episode coming, methinks.
Yeah. Let's get to it. Is that one of the worst intros we've ever done?
I think it's good.
I'm very excited about our guest today. He's a guy who I've seen on the streets plying his trade, and in lockdown, I really took a lot more notice of like the world around me, and I saw his art, in particular an artwork of a sort of obscure wrestler that died, and I was like, oh my god, I've got so much in common with this guy that's made this painting, and I didn't know who you were or anything about you. Your images kept popping up. And then I managed to track him down.
Which one was it? Was it Brody Lee?
It was the Brody Lee one, yeah. And then all of a sudden, we've managed to get him on as a guest. It's the first time we've ever had a proper artist on the show, which I'm excited about. It's David Speed.
Hey, hello.
Which is also just such a great name to say.
Thank you, mate. I've never thought of myself as a proper artist. But,
Trust me.
Yeah, that Brody Lee one was crazy. Are you a wrestling fan also?
No.
You're not? Okay. So, yeah, he's not like your famous major John Cena type person. But I just really enjoyed his work. I just thought he's really good at what he did. And I saw him live a bunch of times. And I think when you paint a mural that's a memorial piece, it can be done kind of insincerely sometimes. And I know that a lot of people will just do it for the likes, which I've always felt a bit dodgy about. I remember when MF Doom died, I got a load of DMs from people going, you should paint MF Doom.
Yeah.
But I never grew up on his music. So I was like, I know this will go viral. 100% I know it will. Yeah. But then at some point, I'll be on a podcast or something and someone will be like, so what's your favourite MF Doom track? And I'll be like, do you know what I mean? Because he wasn't part of my childhood. But when Brody Lee died, I wasn't going to paint him. But I watched the company that he worked for did a tribute episode of him, which made me cry like a baby. Yeah. And it just touched me so much that I was like, well, I'm not a good human being. Like, I'm not good at many things. The only thing I can do is paint. So I was like, I want to do something, and the only thing I can do is paint. So I painted a tribute to him. Didn't really think anything would happen from it because I didn't think my crossover audience from my art page would be many people that are into wrestling. But I think Evil Uno was the first person to see it, and then obviously he must have sent it around to the boys, because then I started getting like comments from different wrestlers and stuff, and then it ended. Then John Cena reposted it, and Randy Orton commented on it, and it literally took on a life of its own.
Because I think that is what so this Brody Lee guy, he was in WWF, WWE, whatever, and he wasn't being used, so he was under contract, but they weren't using him. But he was really talented. He was a really good actor, because he'd play sort of wide-eyed sort of madman, and so he was kind of really good, and he was actually really athletic considering he was 6'10", but he just wasn't being used. And then he got out. He had to wait 2 years to get out of his contract. Then they extended it to cover a period of time when he was injured, so he had to be there for longer doing nothing. And then he went to this other company and then like became a champion and was just really hit his stride, and then sort of out of nowhere just like died. Like,
Yeah,
had,
it
like,
was
a
so
quarter,
it was
like,
really
lung
sudden.
disease
Yeah.
thing.
Oh, right.
So it was
Yeah.
like really tragic.
Was he quite young?
He was like 39.
Oh, was he?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Or something like that.
And I
49.
think the most beautiful part of it was because it did end up going viral, his family saw it. And so I got contacted by someone in the family and ended up doing some prints for it. So now his mum's got a print of my painting in her house, which like...
That's amazing.
If you can bring some sort of solace from obviously a very shit situation, I was just like, yeah.
When did he die?
Like it was like Christmas lockdown.
Oh, that
kind of
is when he
time.
died, right.
And it's like, and so then... And I've kind of really stopped watching wrestling since around then, because I was like, he was like the guy that I really like championed. Yeah. And I was like, I would watch him or whatever, because I was kind of following his career now as a person more than you know, whatever. And then I was like, oh, I'm kind of done with this now. But to see that, like someone that, because he is so niche, to see that like huge in your neighborhood, you're like, the fuck is going on? Then I was like, then I started noticing your work all over the shop, and then I was like, I've got to track this guy down.
I mean, there's a project I do called Be Neon, which is where I just paint strangers. And so that's even more weird for people to see someone that they have no idea. Because when I was thinking about my career, was like, I know that if I go out and I paint Marilyn Monroe and Jimi Hendrix, then people do in general. Like I could do really well off of that, but it was not really the sort of work that I wanted to make. So I started painting strangers, and there's a form on my website where you can just upload a photo. And so when I didn't
have time, but I was going to upload one of you.
Oh, it would have been a good Christmas present.
Yeah, but you might not have wanted to paint. You might not be interested.
No,
in that.
That's right.
My only criteria is good lighting. As long as I've got good lighting on the photo, that's all I look for. So I've painted like every kind of person that you can imagine, and it's been. I mean, when you start a project like that, you don't really know you can't really predict like what's going to happen. But the way like people have started sending in people that they've lost, and so I've been doing these paintings, not knowing until afterwards that it's like a tribute painting. Because on the upload form, there's no like, you can't tell me what you want it for.
And people are saying like, what's your favourite track of my nan's? My nan's favourite track. Like when you said about the MF Doom. On a podcast, they've uploaded a picture of their
right. Yeah, I was a big fan of the Nan. Sorry, you completely asked me that.
We have a feature called Vet the Guest, where we determine if you're suitable to stay on the podcast, because you might not be.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And we've had to tell a lot of people to leave.
Peter Blake.
6 questions, if you could please answer honestly, because Joey did a course and he can tell.
Okay.
Vet the guest, it's time to vet the guest.
I'm losing my voice a bit. Question 1. What you been cooking recently then?
That was beautifully delivered. Before I came here, cooked a chicken casserole.
Oh.
Yeah. Is that acceptable?
That's lovely. Yeah.
Okay.
Question 2.
I'm going to eat it when I get home.
Is it in the slow cooker?
Yeah.
Is it still going while we're on
No, we cooked and
live casserole.
I know. I need a live feedback to my kitchen. No, it was cooked and finished, and it's just out on the side. I'm gonna tuck into that.
That's exciting.
Exciting.
Question 2. What's your best procrastinating?
Oh, see, my problem was about procrastinating, so we'll probably get into that later. It's anything to avoid thinking about my own mortality and focusing on the harsh realities of life, I suppose. So just distraction.
So like Xbox?
It's TikTok mostly. Yeah.
Is
just
it?
the endless scroll. Yeah. Did you see that project once where it was like they mapped out how many miles you've like scrolled with your finger and then put it on a map to like show like how much we scroll every day.
What is the answer?
A lot. Yeah, I can't remember what it actually was, but yeah, it was depressing.
I hate that.
Yeah, and then
Is
I scrolled
TikTok
onto the
your-
next.
Onto the
It's my vice. Yeah,
That's your main.
yeah. It knows me so well. Like those algorithms are scary good. Yeah.
Yeah. I like Instagram.
Well, I don't really.
The
I
reels.
avoid TikTok.
Yeah.
So I don't go on it. So
My
mine
friend-
doesn't know me.
Oh, one of our listeners, Craig, works for the Scottish government, and he's not allowed to have TikTok, and neither
Wow.
is his girlfriend.
Wow.
Yep.
Neither's his girlfriend.
No, they're not allowed to use TikTok at
In
all,
case they've
or
been
even have an
spied on.
account. I guess.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, I mean, I'm straight edge. I don't have really any vices, but yeah, definitely TikTok is the one.
Bilal's is Galaxy chocolate bars.
No, it's not. It's Cadbury's. Cadbury's Creations. Have you had those with the jelly bits?
No.
Do you eat chocolate?
No. Sorry.
Question
Was that one of the
3.
questions?
That was the extra.
Just got distracted. Question, where are we? Question 3. What do you think you'd do with your life if you didn't do all this art then?
And beautifully delivered again. I've often wondered that. It's fucking crazy, isn't it? Because I think the first time I picked up a spray can, I met a fella called Paul, and I was 17 on a trip to Amsterdam with my college, and my tutor said, "I'm going to bunk you with Paul," who was in the other class, and I went, "Don't put me with him. He looks like a dickhead." And my tutor went, "No, you'll like him. He does graffiti." And I was like, "Oh, that's interesting," because when I first started painting in the year 2000, graffiti was kind of like this closed club, and you couldn't get in unless you knew someone. Like there was no YouTube tutorials, there was no online stores where you could buy spray paint. Like you literally had to know someone, or you had to go Halfords and go racking and steal all the car paint, which I wasn't prepared to do. So met Paul, who's still one of my best friends to this day, and I often wonder, like, if I hadn't met Paul, like my whole life changed when I started using spray paint, and the past 24 years have been, everything that has happened has been around that one tool of making art. And if I hadn't done that, and I think as well, because when I first started painting, I was 18 and I wasn't particularly like gifted or talented or special. Like I think you get given that idea at school that you get put in like the gifted group or not. And if you're not in the gifted group, then you think, well, I wasn't born with those special talents. And it was only through doing graph that I sort of realized, after doing it for 3 or 4 years, like, oh, actually I'm better at this than when I started. It took a long time for my stupid brain to clock, like, oh, if you like something and you do it a bunch, you get better at it. And so, yeah, so I often wonder if I hadn't have met Paul and started spray painting, I wouldn't then have realized that basically anyone can become an artist or a creative or good in a particular field that they want to, if they dedicate themselves to it. Because I don't really believe in natural talent. I think there's certain, like, so obviously Michael Jordan has natural physical abilities, and I think some athletes are born different and you can't compete with them. But I think if you want to get good at something, like I'm sure when you guys first stood up in front of a crowd of people, like you bombed and you sucked, and then you do it again and again and again until you
I had a lot of natural talent.
Did you? You were straight off the bat. Straight off the bat, superstar.
No, you're right. It is like everything takes a lot of hard work, doesn't it? But it doesn't always feel like it if you're really passionate about it, which is what you're saying.
It doesn't feel like work. Does it? It's fun.
And I mean, I wasn't trying to get better at art. I was going out to have these experiences with my mates because I was enjoying running down railway lines and breaking into abandoned buildings and all of that sort of, like, that was what I was enjoying. And when we got there, then we did the art. And so it was kind of by accident that I became a good artist, you know. It just sort of happened. And this is I know this is your funny, like, bet the guest questions, like, and I've gone a bit deeper.
No, it's good.
but yeah, really, I do wonder, like, if I hadn't just met just a random person who completely changed my life, then I wouldn't have realized that if I dedicate myself to something, I can become good at it. So I wouldn't have become good at anything, which then means that I would have just been an average sort of normal human being and not push myself to ever sort of try and achieve anything, I think.
I feel like to be good at graffiti, you have to be good at climbing.
Yeah,
I feel like that's where I would fall down. I'm really bad at like climbing over walls.
Yeah, I mean, I used to paint with a dude who was 18 stone, and me and my friend once caught him as he came rolling down a hill that he'd fallen off. So it definitely does.
And
help.
you've got to be able to like leg it.
Yeah, and he was not one for legging it either. But we did at least know, like, if we do have to leg it, you know, like in zombie films when, like, what you sacrifice,
he'll get caught.
We did always know he'd be.
And did he?
Get caught. He was a master. Even if he got caught, he would get his way out of it. I've never known anyone like him. He could talk his way out of anything. Incredible.
Just imagining him rolling down a hill. Yeah. That's quite funny.
Yeah, it was. I often think back on it. And then he stole a lot of money from me. So, so he's not a good character, but a very interesting character. Yeah.
Did you used to when you first started, did you have like a prominent tag that you would use all the time in graffiti?
So I've always done things a little bit differently. Me and my two mates that I painted with the most, we sort of dropped our tags and just became known as a crew name, because we realised that as an individual, you could cover only so much ground, whereas as a three-person team, we could do a lot more. So we were just all writing the same words. So
can you tell us what they are?
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
Can you give us an example of like somewhere where you was like really proud that you managed to get one? Like, where's like the trickiest place you've done a tag?
I mean, I remember one of the times where I nearly died, which was painting along the A23 on the way to Brighton, and we'd climbed underneath a bridge that crosses over, and I sort of stepped back to look at my piece, and I went too far, and Paul, who I mentioned earlier, like grabbed me and saved my life that day.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was a wild one.
Wow.
And another one of the mad things is when you're painting track sides and trains go by you. I didn't realize in the beginning sort of how much you get kind of sucked towards the train as it goes past.
Velocity.
Yeah.
Oh.
So there's one writer who many years ago lost his arm through being hit by a Gatwick Express. Just took his arm clean off. But so I have had scary moments where trains have gone by really fast, and I've felt myself being pulled towards them, which was a bit scary. But yeah, that wasn't the question, was it? It wasn't scariest. It was where's
like the most. Yeah, I guess the most like, I don't say death defying, but like where's the place where you're like.
I mean, probably the cheekiest one was a couple of Christmases ago. I painted a piece outside of Waterloo Station, and that stayed up for about 8 months, and we got stopped halfway through by British Transport Police. And it was the day after Boxing Day. I think they were feeling quite festive, and we were being sort of quite nice to them. And there were 3 of them, and 2 of them, you could hear them going like, "Can't just let them go." And there was one of them was like, "We can't just let them." And so I was with my mate who was filming me, and he's a bit of a blag artist, and he was like, "Look, all right, how about, because we're just making this video, it's about creativity in lockdown," because I think it was 2021, I think it was. And he was like, "It's about creativity in lockdown. What we'll do is we'll just get this footage for the video, and then we'll emulsion it out after we're done and we'll be gone." And they were like, yeah, okay. So we finished it and then just got in the car and ran, and it stayed up for about 8 months. Yeah, that was a good one.
Cool.
I'm proud of that one. Yeah.
What question are you on?
We should do crimes and then say we'll clean it up, and then not.
What crimes do you want to see?
We'll talk. What do you want to do?
I mean, I'm not really interested in crime unless it directly benefits my.
Some kind of vandalism.
I used to enjoy a podcast called Crime Club.
Ah.
And I don't think he's updated it for a few years, but those episodes are all out there. It's really fun. He just sits down with people who've done crimes, and they talk you through like
how they did it,
being locked up and smuggling drugs, and he's done graffiti artists on there as well.
100% going to listen to that.
It's good.
It's good.
Jack Beaumont. Yeah, it's good.
Question 4: indigestion.
No, thank you.
Question 5: do you ever get indigestion? I do.
I'm sure.
I
we
do
all
as I get older. Yeah. I'm getting it a lot more.
I'm sure we all
Christmas season's absolutely rife for it.
Question 5: what would be your Olympic event of choice to compete in if you were real athletic? Like,
I always liked the hurdles when I was a kid.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
they're quite hard.
Yeah, I dropped out of the team because my school could never be bothered to get the hurdles out, because it was such a they were heavy things, and I was the only one who was really interested in doing it, so they just didn't. So I never fulfilled that potential.
But you did use a lot of that skill to leg it.
Yeah, I just hurdled over barbed wire fences instead. Yeah,
I feel like I've had loads of times where my school or uni or whatever just didn't care about a thing. Yeah, and it could have really changed the direction of my life. Yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah,
other people's apathy just it really rubs off, and I think that's why. So I was a primary school training to be a primary school teacher for a while, and as I was doing that job, I was also doing illegal graffiti at night and then coming in and telling the kids to behave during the day, and it was like a weird double life situation, which was fun.
And you must have been knackered because you're out late and then you're
exhausted. So once I fell asleep, this poor kid, I remember him as well, he's called David as well, and so he was reading to me, and he was Slow Readers Club. And we were sitting on beanbags in the reading room, which had all the radiators like whacked up to maximum heat. And so I've got David going, and then the boy, and then I just remember he goes to me, "Are you asleep?" I was like, "No."
Deeply thinking.
No, David, I'm awake. Yeah, I just think I'm just sad about teachers who don't care, and I think I wish I had, when you meet someone, they're like, "Oh yeah, Mr. Brown in year 4, who was like," and they have that. I don't have a teacher like that, and they can really, really change your life.
Yeah, my drama teacher is the reason I'm a stand-up comedian.
So that's so beautiful.
Yeah, after I'd left, she would email me and be like, "I think you should go on this Learn How to Be a Comedian course. I think you'd be a good stand-up comedian." I was like, "Nah," and then she just kept sending it to me, and I was like, "All right."
That's so beautiful. I love stuff like that.
She's the reason why I have Ginsters for dinner at 2 a.m. from a WH Smith's.
Yeah.
I've had an English teacher who made me absolutely love stuff that I would not care about at all.
Yeah.
And change the way I think about writing.
Did she put you
on? No. I had a drama teacher, right? So in year 9, so the year before GCSEs, we were picking our GCSEs. And as everyone was leaving the class, she was tapping people and saying, "You should take drama. You should take drama." And she didn't do it to me. And I felt like I was quite good at drama at the time. And that made me totally feel like, well, not good at it. I probably would have taken it.
She was right.
And I've been in films now.
Yeah.
But it can completely derail you. I remember talking to someone once who really wanted to be a journalist, and her teacher had said to her, "Oh, that's a hard career." So she just sacked it off. And it's like, just these little things that you say to kids can really impact their lives.
When I was a kid, I really wanted to be a wrestler, and my dad was like, "You're too small. There's no way." And so I just didn't even. Yeah, but I didn't even consider it. I'm glad I did. I did one lesson once. It hurt so much. I was like,
"No."
It
does look like
it looks really painful.
It really is painful.
Yeah.
Final question is, how many Austin Powers films have you seen?
0.
Really?
Yeah.
Congratulations, David. You've scored 3,200 points on Vet the Guest. You can stay on the show.
Oh, thanks.
That was lovely because we went into so much depth.
Yeah, sorry.
In that tiny feature.
No,
it's good.
I am a rambler.
No, it's good.
You can edit me down.
No, we won't. We don't.
People give you.
Also,
yeah.
No, we like. This is a great episode.
Sometimes right? People give you nothing.
Yeah,
and they're comedians.
Yeah.
They should.
And
know
it's
that,
like
you know what I mean?
they should be. Yeah, you set them up for bits.
Normally,
and they give you nothing.
You book, though, to be fair.
No,
I always book sick guests for this.
I don't think that's true.
Yeah, that's true.
Today's is good.
Yeah, thank you.
In the past, though.
Anyway,
we've had some poor quality guests.
So you used to be a tattoo artist as well, right?
Yeah. So tattooed for 3 years.
I've got a question. I've never got a tattoo because I can't think of something that would suit me.
Yeah.
What would you recommend me if I was to get a tattoo?
Well, obviously, Joey, having only known you for 10 minutes, I don't want to suggest something that you're going to permanently wear on your skin.
I mean, I'm almost certainly not going to do it, but just hypothetically.
And one thing that I used to do in my studio all the time was talk people out of tattoos, much to my boss's chagrin. But
because they were bad ideas.
Yeah. I remember when I was first learning. So there was my boss put a sign on the wall saying "free tattoos" from The Apprentice, because he was like, "You need skin, so you need to." And so I tattooed all these different people from like the local area and had no problems. But then once this 18-year-old girl came in, she was like, "Oh, I want to get one of the free tattoos." And this was in Lancaster. That's why I did a silly northern accent. And she wanted like a tramp stamp, floral tramp stamp on her back. And I just said to my boss, I was like, "I will ruin this girl if she gets this." And he was like, "You need skin. She wants this tattoo." And I literally had to talk her out of it. I was like, "Come on, this will look bad. Like, I'm not there yet. Like, you don't, just because it's free doesn't mean it's going to be good." But so I would say to you, Joey, the tattoo will find you, rather, because I think if you go, "I've got to get tattooed," and you start looking and trying to find designs, you won't find anything, or you'll settle on something and you go, "Oh, that'll do." Whereas if you let the tattoo find you, just one day you'll be in the shower or at a car boot sale or somewhere random, and you'll go, that's exactly the tattoo.
I'm at
I
car
want.
boots. I'm going to get that decorating table full of tat that person's selling tattooed onto my
You're going to
get a tat
coys,
tattoo.
aren't you?
Coys boys.
Mm.
Yeah. No,
Have
I'll get
you-
something to commemorate mine and yours 100th episode.
Oh, really?
It's coming up in 10 episodes.
Is it?
Yeah. This is number 90 today.
Oh, God.
And this is good.
Have you? No, that is good. That's a good
God.
thing. Have you seen that show called? I think it's called Just Tattoo of Us.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. One of my mates was an artist on it for the first season or second
Really?
season. Yeah,
Oh my God! Have you seen it?
yeah. It's really a sad state of affairs,
And it's real.
Yeah.
I think my ex used to watch it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because they get their friend. They make their friend have a surprise tattoo, and it will say like slut.
Mm.
Yeah,
It's
most of them
mad.
are just slut tattoos. To be
But
fair.
I thought it was fake. But
No,
I met
it's
a guy
very
that
real. Yeah.
produced it, and it's real.
yeah,
Mad.
it's 100% real. Yeah.
What would you get on me
On you,
if we're on that
Slut.
show?
I get Ange Postecoglou's
I knew it'd be
my
something
army
like
written
that.
on your arm.
Are you interested in football at all?
No.
Sorry for bringing it
I'm
up.
not. Yeah,
No.
it's okay.
Yeah.
Don't let that happen again, mate.
No, we won't.
Sorry about
Okay,
that.
good.
That's our one.
That's what I want.
When you're doing your neon art
Yeah.
around and about, have you ever done one and you've just been like, that looks really not like? Oh no, and I can't use my example because it's football related, but like the Harry Kane statue that they've just
Right.
they're trying to find a home for it 'cause it's so bad.
'Cause it doesn't look
It's
like
so
him.
bad, and he's
Um,
having to pretend that he loves it, but it doesn't look anything like him.
That's really funny.
Have you done any where you're like, oh no, this has been a disaster, and like, would you start again, or are you just like, no, I've just committed to what this is now. It is what it is.
I've not. I don't think I've ever done any that are a disaster. I think I could look at every single piece I've probably ever made and I could pick it to pieces. But that's just what creatives do, isn't it? We look at our work and go and just, yeah. I'm sure you don't want to watch sets back or anything like that. But
Oh, I hate doing that. Yeah,
Yeah.
but you have to.
It's
but,
awful.
I hate it.
yeah,
But,
Awful.
yeah. Well, it's the same looking back at a painting because
Yeah.
I see. The thing is, I have limited time. And so sometimes it has to be the best it can be. But I don't think I've ever upset or offended anyone with my work. And I do sometimes like stay a bit longer than I probably should to just get like the finishing details done. And I think painting good portraits comes down to learning how to look. And so I work from photo references that people send me. And I've just over the years started to learn to paint what's there rather than what I think is there, which just comes from just literally. So in 2020, I painted 97 pieces.
Wow.
And so I know that by the end of that year, I was a better painter, but there's not one painting that I could go, that was the one where everything changed. It's just that sort
Just
of
that
drumming and
gradual,
drilling of like,
repetitive and-
yeah.
Yeah. That's 2 a week, Bilal.
Is it?
Yeah.
Do you have any anxiety dreams?
No.
Okay. I wondered if you
Interestingly,
did.
I do, and it's always about getting run over by a train. So I would hate being a
Wow.
graffiti artist.
Do you?
Yeah, I have it a lot.
What?
Like I'm on like the track and like there could be one coming, or I nearly electrocute myself on the rail, or
Okay.
I have that quite a lot.
Can you electrocute yourself on the rail?
Yeah,
Absolutely, you can.
absolutely.
Yeah. The third
Right.
rail is
The third
yeah.
rail is
Yeah.
live.
Yeah.
On the underground as well.
So the underground is a whole other.
Right.
I've never painted a tube, and I would never. It's like that's
seems so scary.
That's adrenaline. Like
Okay.
that's pure. Yeah, that's
And you've
for
only
the
got
real.
like 3 minutes.
You
Oh,
literally. I think you've got 15 minutes to paint a tube.
Wow.
Because of the security guards, and there's laser trip wires, and it's very dangerous. People have died going into the yards and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you
it's-
mean laser trip wires?
Yes, they
So
trip
if you break the laser, an alarm will go off.
Oh.
Yeah.
A laser doesn't trip you up.
I thought laser cuts your foot off.
No.
What
Think
are you
of
talking about?
This
Think
is
of,
all new to me.
Mission Impossible. Remember
Yeah,
that?
yeah.
Like that. Yeah, if you break
Yeah.
the
You've
break the
had
laser.
such a sheltered life.
Yeah.
And I've noticed that you've done animals.
Yeah.
Like,
Sorry?
is that more of a recent thing? It's because your Instagram suggests that it's more of a recent thing.
So the
no,
chicken?
They've always been there. Yeah, that wasn't me. That's the whole other story.
Oh, is there a fake you?
Oh, so the chicken is a KFC ad that I destroyed. Yeah,
Ah.
because it looked very, very similar to my work.
Oh, right.
Oh,
Okay.
Yeah, so I started getting tagged in photos of this chicken, and people were saying like David Speed's new KFC ad, and I was like, I really need to get the message out there that I did not and would not work for KFC. So I went and vandalized it. Yeah, there's a little video on my Instagram that documents that process. Yeah.
Can you get in trouble for that?
I mean, I very openly did it and then posted on my social media that it was me who had done it, and sort of said, I think if you want to use street art for your own gain in the advertising world, then you have to follow the rules that street art comes under. I think the most liked comment on the post is someone had said, David, aren't you worried about going after a multi-billion-dollar corporation and publicly defacing their work? And I said no, just wrote no, and that's had like hundreds of thousands of likes. And I think the idea was they could, if they wanted to, like try and do whatever. I don't know what they would try and do, but at the end of the day,
it's such a bad look for them, though, isn't it?
It would look super bad. Like, and they knew what they were doing in the area that they were doing it, in the colors that they chose. Like, I can't believe that they weren't trying to make people think that it was me who did it, and people did think it was me who did it. So I sort of went a bit.
That's weird.
Yeah. So I just sort of thought, well, I really want to let people know that this wasn't me, and I'll suffer the consequences if there are any. There weren't any, but I
also
would have.
But that was so exciting. Like, not obviously, excitement isn't the first emotion that comes to mind, but when you was actually defacing it, must have been pretty adrenaline inducing.
Not really.
No.
So I was thinking when you said about the anxiety dreams, I'm quite a calm person, and I've been in some mad situations before, and everything slows down and I get very calm and I don't panic. I think so beforehand, like not for that ever, because that was nothing, but beforehand, if I'm about to do something that's ridiculous, then my heart is really beating. But then as soon as like the first spray of paint comes out, then I'm super calm, and it's just you sort of go to another place. I don't know if it's flow state or what it is, but yeah, just like hyper focused and just I don't really
you've got to get it done, otherwise the whole thing is pointless if you don't get it done. Yeah, wow.
It's a bit like doing a gig. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you ever do a gig and then not realize that you've done the gig? It was sort of like
I think in the moment,
that it happened.
the moment, like if like there's an audience interaction, you don't realize what you're saying, like you just kind of bounce off of what's
really
going
good.
on. And it's like, yeah,
you come out with
the better stuff than you would ever actually write at home.
That is really similar. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Except no one's potentially going to come and try and arrest you.
There is that. Yeah. Well, it depends what you say.
Yeah.
I suppose.
Oh yeah.
Not us. We're just a couple of idiots. So can I ask you about, because this is how we end up getting you in here today. Because I asked you, I think in the past, to come on my other podcast, which was the reason why that podcast stopped, because you said no.
Oh, sorry.
We had to start a new podcast.
No? I think when you asked, I was just in the middle of a million different things.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
Just replied the email, no.
Jimmy, I was busy. He had better stuff to do. My mate wrote a book, so we had to stop him. Right. But anyway, and again, it's another one of those moments, you know, you're just like, something you go, did I hear that? Is that real? Like with the Brody Lee thing, I was like, why is this like big mural of an obscure wrestler that only I think that I'm the only person that likes him in my neighborhood? And then, as I'm really obsessed with Busta Rhymes, right? Like Busta Rhymes was like, when I was like 13 or whatever, I remember very clearly being at my nan's house, and she had the music channels that weren't MTV, like the free ones you could get. And I saw the video for Give Me Some More. And I was like, I can't believe that like adults are allowed to be like that. Like, do you know what I mean? It's like crazy bombastic. And then like I just like the first album I ever got on CD was Busta Rhymes' album. And I've always like really liked him and followed his career. And then I was watching the clip of him accepting the award at the MTV thing. And then he said I was chatting backstage to an artist, a guy called David Speed. And I was like, what, the guy that does the neon murals in my area? And I was like, fucking hell, is that? And then so I was like, maybe I've just misremembered the name. Yeah. And then I was like, fucking hell. So how did that come about?
Yeah, just a lot of luck. I mean, so much luck. and coincidence that managed to happen. I was asked to do some artwork for the backstage area at MTV EMAs because I think like it was kind of quite bare back there. And so I painted a few things. They were like, "Can you paint Busta Rhymes because he's getting the Lifetime Achievement, the Global Icon Award?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." Like, and it's like if I was painting Nas, then that would be cool. But subject material to work from. When you say Busta Rhymes, it's like there's so many like mad, like the way he screws his face up, and there's so many cool photos throughout his career to pick from. So I was like really gassed to paint him. I was like, yeah, absolutely, I'll do that. So I painted the portrait, and then the area we were in, like I just didn't think there's any chance of him coming through this way. Like, I don't think he's ever gonna get down here, because we were right by the catering, and you had a few kind of stars going into the catering, like Bez and the Happy Mondays, for example, like sauntered past us, and like that was quite cool. But there was no like, if you were Madonna, then your food was getting taken to you. Do you know what I mean? You weren't coming through.
If you're accepting the Lifetime Achievement Award, you're not queuing up at the buffet
to get some goujons. Yeah, it just wasn't going to happen. So I was like, he's probably never going to see this, but it's cool because I'm having fun, and yeah, it was a cool experience. And so I can't say what the favor was, but we did a favor for a lady who was there who worked for MTV, and we sort of went above and beyond for her because she was a really nice person, but we had no idea who she was. And there were thousands of people working for MTV that were backstage and that we spoke to. But it just so happens that the one lady that we did a massive favor for, like white lady in her 40s, like a mum, she was Busta Rhymes' like wrangler on the MTV side. Like she was in charge of him. And
I imagine he's quite a hard person to wrangle as well.
Oh, dude, he's impossible. Did you see the clip of me at the after party with him?
Yeah, of you trying to go home.
Yeah.
And him saying like, "You're not going home, David Speed."
He goes, "Dave Speed, fuck you. You not going nowhere." I'm like, okay, Busta Rhymes. Fucking bizarre. But yeah, so we helped this lady, and she was like, "I'm going to get Busta Rhymes down here," and we were like, okay. And thought, like maybe it will happen, maybe it won't. And then it was supposed to happen across the weekend at various different points and didn't happen. So it sort of got to the stage where we were like, this is probably not going to happen. It's fine, whatever. We've had a good experience. It's been fun to be here. Kind of wrote it off. And then I just got a text from her saying, he's coming. And like 30 seconds later, he just burst through the door with this like huge entourage. And I'm like, holy fucking shit, it's Busta Rhymes. So we take all our photos together, and I'm like, this is so surreal. Like, this is because same, I grew up on, grew up on him 100%. Like, I used
and he's like, he's not someone that you like with, say, British musicians or like rock bands and things like that. You can see how you might end up one day bumping into him at a festival or whatever. But it's like there's no conceivable way that you would ever meet Busta Rhymes.
No,
like, not in my mind. And I also was always like, and I asked you this on Instagram in advance, so I just needed to know. Like, I assumed he would be a nightmare.
Yeah,
but you said he was so lovely. But yeah,
he's lovely. But he does what he wants on his timeline. It's like it's incredible. So we had he was like blown away by the painting. It was a really like lovely, genuine reaction. Like, he was obviously gassed over this portrait. And then I told him it was made with 100% spray paint, and that like sent him over the edge. And he was like, oh, I love this shit. And so after talking to him for about 10 minutes, I got a bit more confident. And I was like, so you going to let me do your album cover then? And he was like, where's my phone? He didn't have his phone on him. He was like, give me your phone. So I give him my phone. He puts his own personal number in my phone.
Holy shit.
And he's like, text me right now. And then we got wrangled for photos. So someone's like, stand here. And so I didn't text him that minute. So we do the photos, and then he comes back up to me and he goes, text me right now. So I was like, okay, shit. So I text him. Then he disappears, goes off to accept his award or whatever. I'm like, holy shit. Like, and then he texts me, my brother, let's make history. I was like, oh shit, Busta Rhymes just texted me, my brother, let's make history. So this is fun. So it got even more surreal. And so then I was like, so I go to bed at 10 p.m. every night. So I was like, by now it's like getting late. I was like, I want to get out of here. So I started like packing down, like wrapping up my canvases and stuff like that. And then just as I was doing it, there was a tiny telly in the corner of the room that is showing his acceptance speech. And I was like, oh, let me just go and watch Busta Rhymes get his Global Icon Award. I won't watch the rest of the show, but let me just walk over. So I wandered over, and I'm standing with a bunch of strangers, like people that I didn't know. And then he's on stage giving his award, and he says, I was backstage talking to an artist by the name of David Speed. And I just started crying. Crying. Wow. I was so overwhelmed. Like, to have the whole interaction with Busta was completely surreal and beautiful and lovely. And he was so kind, like, and he was generous with his time. Like, he stayed with us for a good bit. But then to remember my name, and he knew what he was doing. He knew that, like, potentially that's life-changing to stand on that stage and name drop me. And he did that. And that was really kind of him. So I was like, fucking hell. Like, so I was totally overwhelmed, packed all the paintings up and everything. And then by the time we got out of there, it was about 2:30 in the morning.
Oh, right.
It was really, really late. And I was like, I just want to go home and go to bed. And so I'm in the car with my girlfriend, obviously just talking about Busta Rhymes, because that's what had just happened. And we were just like, that's all we could talk about. And then, because I normally go to bed at 10, I normally by this point, my phone would be on silent, but it wasn't, because we were still up and we were still doing the thing. So my phone starts ringing while we're in the cab, just about to get back to our Airbnb. I just hold the screen up to her and it just says Busta on the screen. I was like, he's phoning me now. What should I do? She's like, fucking answer it.
Yeah.
So I'm like, hello, Busta Rhymes. So I pick up the phone to him, and he was like, did you see my speech? And I was like, yeah, man. I was like, thank you so much. He was like, I did it for a reason, dog. I did it for a reason. I'm like, oh shit. Okay, Busta Rhymes. And then he goes,
you own me.
And then he goes, what are you doing right now? I was like, I'm going home. And he goes, come to the after party. I was like, okay. And then I said the most stupid fucking thing. I go, but I haven't got a ticket. There's a long pause, and he goes, you with Busta Rhymes, you ain't need no ticket. I was like, oh shit, you're supposed to. So he texts me all the details. We go to the after party. It's about, what time was it? It was 3:30 when we got to the after party. And obviously he wasn't there yet. So we just sit around waiting for an hour. And then they start clearing out the club. They're like, everyone they turn the music off. So we go downstairs into this other bit, which is still playing music. We stay in there for about half an hour. Then they shut all of that off. And then the venue are like, you've all got to leave. And Busta's people are like, he's literally like 2 seconds away. He's coming. And they've got this big, what's the big vodka that's about that big? Like,
I'm not a
yeah,
the
big fucking vodka wrapper thing. Anyway,
right.
So I don't drink, but they've got this massive thing with all these like shots laid out and stuff. Like they're ready for Busta, like, because that's his people getting that all ready for him to arrive and stuff. And so he strides into the building wearing this fucking cow print all-in-one suit. Incredible.
Yeah.
And then he just gets mobbed by about 50 people. So then he just starts like holding court. So he's just talking to these people, like giving them inspirational talk, like giving them like full.
Imagine being your dad. Like, imagine the talks he would give you.
It's crazy, dude. He has that like star quality thing, and he knows that, like, he knows for his legacy, those people that he can have that one-to-one connection with will be huge. That's how you don't build a career like that by going viral. You build it by the one person that you have that like beautiful interaction with. So he's like holding people's hands. He's like giving them full eye contact. And I was like, this is cool, but there's no way I could get close to him because he's got this circle. So we just hung back with his people. And like by this time we've been with his people for like 2 or 3 hours. So we're like quite tight with them. So then the venue are like, there's this one guy who was like obviously not into hip hop, and he was like, I don't know who Busta Rhymes is. I don't care who Busta Rhymes is. I don't give a fuck. Like, you've got to get him out of this venue. Like, we want to go home. Fair enough, really. And he's doing his thing. And so we start to get moved out of the venue. So I just walk with his people. And so as he's coming out with his people, with this like crowd, he obviously goes towards his people. So I kind of then have like jumped the queue. I'm like really close to him now while we're outside. So the mob comes out. They sort of
whale watching.
It was mad, but like, And so this whole crowd comes out. They all circle around him, but I'm sort of like real close. he gives this one girl a hug. He puts his chin on her shoulder. So I was like, this is my opportunity. So I just go over, put my hand on his shoulder and just go, Buster, I love you, but I've got to go. I've got to go. And then he's like, fuck you, you're not going nowhere. So then he proceeds, and I've got it all on video, but I haven't had the heart to watch it back yet. I can't
really?
watch it yet.
Okay.
But he grabs me, and then to these 50 people, he just talks about me in front of me for the next 15 minutes about how this man touched my soul tonight, and you don't understand, and this is what an artist is, and like just says all of this stuff about me.
Man.
I'm like, this is fucking crazy. And he's got me right here. And after about 10 minutes of being bigged up by Busta Rhymes, I was like, I don't want him to get bored. I don't want this to then peter out. I need to leave this on a high. So I was like, I just waited for the perfect moment. I was like, I'm out. I was like, dude, I love you. Let me do your album cover. Let's talk. And I'm gone. And then I breezed, and then that was it. Yeah.
Wow.
Fucking surreal. Really surreal. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Bloody hell.
Global icon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Were you able to fall asleep when you got home?
It's out like a light, man. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
He's calm.
Yeah.
I'm calm,
the
but
Iceman.
also like that. I go to bed at 10.
Yeah.
Like-
Yeah, that's
like
pretty
4
And it
hours
was
crazy.
like
late.
this. Yeah, this was. I went to bed at 5:30, and I was fucked. So I just I went straight out. Yeah.
Wow.
Bloody hell.
But so yeah, he says he's going to buy all my paintings.
All of them?
Yeah. Yeah, he went through all of my stuff. He's like, I want that, I want that, I want that, I want that.
Of him? Or,
So he wants the one of him,
Yeah.
which I said he could have.
Mm.
And he was like, the other one's for sale. I was like, yeah. So he went through and he was like, he picked
Wow.
out what he wanted. I'm supposed to be talking to his accountant, but no one ever replies any of my messages. So maybe it might happen, it might not happen.
Right.
I'm not with stuff like that. I'm like, I'm always like, if it happens, then beautiful. If it doesn't, then fine. But
I do feel like that, you know, the things that are meant to be, and like, especially with these bigger people, like when I was first starting out, I did a gig with Noel Fielding,
yeah,
and he was like, oh, you remind me of me when I was younger. He was like, give me your number. He's like, I've got a project that I want you to come and work on. And I was like, yeah, bollocks.
Yeah.
I didn't hear from him for like over a year. But then he was like, I want you to come write on this program that I'm making. And it's like, if it's meant to happen,
yeah,
these people, I do think they are genuine, but I guess it just takes so much time with some of this stuff, right? Like, because there's got so many things going on.
When did you last speak to Noel Fielding?
None of your business. No, probably about 6 months ago.
He's not been on here.
No. Do you want me to ask him?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now.
episode
Call him.
100.
Episode 100.
Oh.
I've only got 10 weeks to sort that out.
Yeah.
No.
All right.
All right.
Yeah, I think with a creative career, your job is to plant flags, and every podcast that you make is a flag, and every business card that you give to someone is a flag, and every piece of street art you do is a flag. And the more flags you distribute in the world is more opportunities to get discovered.
Totally.
And I think that we all use like the same, like Shaq's got one of my paintings hanging in his house.
Wow.
And like I got contacted by Shaq's people when I had 2,000 followers. Like literally, that's why I always say to creatives, like put your work out, like put it out, because Taylor Swift and Shaq use the same internet as everyone else. There's no special VIP.
The
like,
same TikTok, the same.
The chance of you
Instagram.
getting discovered by them, and social media is another flag. Anything that you can do that is a chance to be discovered, do it, because you know, like everything you make leads to every opportunity that you get in life, and it leads to you making better stuff, and then the better stuff gets seen by more people, and then everything that happens in your life will be opportunities that are given to you by other people. So you've just got to put yourself in front of as many people as possible. It's the same in comedy, it's the same in painting, it's the same fucking everywhere.
It's so wide.
This is like a good episode.
Yeah. Well, we haven't done any of the shit that we have to do to make the episode run.
I know,
'Cause we've
right?
just had a great
No, this is very nice for me to hear as well, because I've comedy is going very well, but it's slowed down massively for me over the last sort of
doesn't sound like
couple
it's
of
going well.
years. And I've got a job. That's why we're recording this so late in the day. I work in a school now,
Yeah.
SEN, as a teaching assistant like you did.
Yeah.
Which has been really, really nice, but it's like having that thing of feeling like I'm not creative anymore.
Well, it will give you good material.
Oh yeah.
Like
It's
kids
pretty
are
funny.
fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
And I think like survival is always the most important thing. And it's all very romantic to like throw your laptop out the window and punch your boss on the nose, and do you know what I mean, and do all of these things, and like, but then if you can't eat, then you can't make. And so whatever you have to do in order to make, whether that's taking a part-time job or a full-time job and you make on the weekends and the evenings, like you've got to do it. But you then have to work twice as hard. So like in your spare time now, you've got to make double. Like you have to, because that's what's going to get you back and be able to leave the job in future so that you can be making full time. That's just how it goes.
So what social? So is Instagram your main place to post stuff?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Do you do anything on TikTok yourself?
Yeah, I've got 100,000 followers on TikTok and 100,000
Mate,
on.
If I get a good guest, you should have looked at his TikTok.
I should have.
But then again, I mean, but the way things are going, like these audiences don't really mean much. Like I think specifically with TikTok, like that's just a metric of how many times you've gone viral, and every time you post a video on TikTok, it gets shown to 200 people. And if those 200 people like, save, interact with it in some way, then it will get shown to 400 people. And then it goes on and on until it just stops when not enough. Like you basically get a score for every video. And if as soon as it stops scoring points, then it stops getting shown to people. So that means and that you can have 10 followers or 5 million followers. Like if you make a good video, your first video could blow up on there because that's how the algorithm works. So having loads of followers doesn't really mean what it used to. And I think, and it's going the same way on Instagram as well. It's like, it's not the be all and end all that it was before. So what I look at is how many mailing list subscribers I've got, because that's how many people want to support me. They want to buy a painting. They want to buy a print. They want a piece of my art in their house, which is so much more of a big commitment than just like double tapping. Like for you guys, it's buying tickets. Like
which is ours is followers, because it's like that's what backs up the ticket sales. Really, right. I mean, you're right in the mailing list sense for sure.
Yeah,
but it's like venues want to know how many followers you got. Do you know what I mean?
Because they think that those followers are going to equal,
but they could be
people
in America. So do you know what I mean?
Exactly,
they're no good if they're not in the area that you're playing a gig.
So I remember my dear friend Poppy Chancellor, who passed away last year. I've spoken about her before, but she was only 36 when she died. But beautiful person. But that's a sidebar. She did a podcast episode with us, and I think she had 9,000 followers when we did her episode. And it was one of the most listened to episodes that we had because most of her followers were so engaged with her that they would then listen to the episode. And you can have someone on the show who's got 1 million followers, but if they're not like a crazy fan of them, they follow them, but they're not like their engaged audience, then it won't. So like a venue can look at someone who's got 1 million followers and think that's going to mean I'm going to sell out. You might not sell out. It's who's got a good community, who's got an engaged audience who when you announce those dates, they definitely got to come and see you.
Oh God, we know people, we know comedians who like have done some political things, like anti-Tory stuff, whatever, and then build up a huge following. But a lot of the people are quite thick, so they can't tell when they're joking, so they take a lot of stuff seriously.
Oh wow,
yeah,
feels like a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, it's depressing, isn't it?
Do we want to do your problem quickly? We can either do your problem or we can do a listener's problem. It's up to you.
Let's do a listener's problem because then maybe I can help.
Okay, and this is our art based. I put this out earlier. Hi, this is a specific one for David. I have a real problem. My sister-in-law painted a huge mural for me and my now husband. It's disgusting. I really don't like the colours, and I don't get what it's supposed to be. If the beauty is in the eye of the beholder, then I must be totally blind. My husband seems to like it and gets defensive if I bring up maybe moving it or getting rid of it. It's great that she enjoys her art as a hobby, but I don't think it should be forced into my hallway. It's one of the first things people see when they come into my home, and quite often I get asked if I did it. Luckily, my husband doesn't listen to the podcast, so this is our little secret. Can you please help? Clara.
That's a fucking minefield, isn't it? I think to save other people's feelings, then you're just going to have to like it and lump it.
Yeah, find something that you like in it.
What if you accidentally spilt some soup on it?
Whoops.
I was going to say get an animal. Like a cat could...
What would a cat do?
I don't know.
Scratch.
Yeah. Get the place redecorated in colours that it definitely doesn't go with.
It's not going to work.
That's not going to work. There's too much emotion tied up in the art. That's the thing.
See?
That's the thing. So my most technical piece that I've ever painted, I spent 3 months working on, and I painted 100% in spray paint because that's a stupid rule that I've set myself, and I was so happy with it. Like technically it's like the best thing that I've ever done, like by far. It was like technically the best piece. And so I was like, this is gonna change my life, this one painting. I'm gonna sell this out. And I remember putting it up on LinkedIn, and I was like, I'll sell the prints on LinkedIn alone just because of how fucking good this painting is. I put it on LinkedIn, and the only people that bought it were people that I knew. And I think the art can be whatever it is, but if someone has a emotional connection, that means so much more than what the actual art is of. The emotion is what sells paintings, not the image. So I think people buy my work like because they've walked around Shoreditch, and a lot of people say to me, like, when they leave they leave East London and they go back to living wherever they were from, they're like, I take a piece of Shoreditch with me, and it's a piece of my art.
That's amazing.
And so I think like what's happened here is like there is emotion behind this art because the husband is like attached to it because of who made it, not because of what it looks like. Yeah, that's why they've fallen in love with it. So because at the end of the day, my work's pink. Yeah. And when I first started making it, I didn't think anyone would be into it because it's pink, and pink has this like long history of being shunned in the art world. There's like, it's super interesting, but I won't go into it here. But and also coming from graffiti and being in street art and being in like a very sort of macho world where people think they're gangsters just because they paint on walls, and then going like, I remember seeing this interview with David Cho, who's the artist who painted the Facebook offices, and he's like multi-millionaire now because they paid him in stocks. Right. And he's also an actor as well. He's in that Beef on Netflix.
Is he?
Yeah,
that's him.
He's the cousin. Yeah. But David Cho, anyway, he's amazing. I love him. Like, he's a great artist. But I saw this interview with him where he was saying when he paints in the streets, he paints with black because it's hard and aggressive, and that's what he wants. Like, his street art is like angry and rebellious. And I was like, that's not me. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think we can fight, but fight with love and kindness and pink and beautiful bright colors. So when I make my art, I didn't want it to be hard and aggressive. I wanted it to be like quite beautiful, and that's why I chose pink. It's like this really beautiful, bright, vibrant, vivid, beautiful color. But I thought that everyone would hate that. Do you know what I mean? I thought there'd be like a visceral reaction against it.
Calling card.
Yeah,
and
and people really love it.
Since having yellow skin, it's like instantly recognizable as what it is.
Yeah, it is. And like people shout out, like, "There's are you the guy who does the pink?" Like, and so, but that emotion is what's allowed me to survive making art in pink for the last like 4 years. It's crazy. So that's why I'm saying to the listener, like, you can't fight that because there's too much emotion tied up in it. So you just gotta love it.
You just gotta love it.
Don't look at it what it is visually. Look at what it represents.
Just listen to David, because he's probably the wisest guest we've ever had on the podcast.
You could set it on fire.
Those are your two options.
Just before we wrap up, two things. Number one, where can people sign up to your mailing list? Through your Instagram, right?
Yeah, it's my link in bio on my Instagram.
Which is, just for the record,
at David Speed UK on any social platforms. I'm at David Speed UK.
And you don't have to answer this, but I'm going to ask you a very invasive question here, and we might be able to tell the answer from your face. So just get ready. Okay. Are you doing the album cover?
I haven't heard anything back, but I've got Big Man's phone number, so I'll just, do you know what I mean? At some point, maybe in January when it's like dead, that dead period in January, I might just phone Busta Rhymes and just see what he says. Yeah.
Well,
which is a weird sentence. If there's never thought I'd say. But.
Well, here's the weird sentence I'm going to say. If there's ever another thing and you want me to come and carry your paint bag, just for a chance of getting gripped by Busta Rhymes in a thing, I would gladly carry your paint bag for you.
No worries. I've had a few requests.
Yeah, I'm sure you have. But aside from all of that, it's genuine. I was really excited that you said yes to come on, and you've been a great guest, and it's been so nice talking to you. Like, you've said so many like wise things. So yeah, thanks for giving us your time. It's been great.
Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot.
My pleasure.
Cheers. If you've enjoyed this episode, then please like, rate and subscribe on YouTube or Spotify or wherever you are enjoying this, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.